took me to go to college to learn how to study because I never had to study. I made straight A's, straight A's. It wasn't challenging. It was just, you just had to be there and pass the test. That's it. And most of the time you didn't even have to be there. Just pass the test. You know what I'm saying? And I think when I got to college and I remember it was in I forgot what course it was, but either way, I walk in there and the lady was like, "Hey," she just starts going off talking, talking about stuff, and I'm just sitting there like blah 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 blah, and she was like, "All right, put everything away. We're gonna do a quiz," and I'm like, "A quiz? What you mean?" And she was like, "Yeah, we got to do a quiz. Come on, everybody, put everything away." And I failed the quiz, so I waited after the class was over, and I said, "Ma'am, I didn't know we were taking a quiz. You didn't say, hey, write this down," because she said, "This is college. I don't know what school you come from, but in college, we don't have to tell you to take notes. That is your job to take notes." Mm-hmm. She said, "So whenever you walk into any course, I don't care what it's about, if that professor is speaking, you need to be taking notes because you don't know." And then this is the craziest part. She let us use the notes that we should have been taking. So that was my first lesson on, oh snap, I gotta really pay attention now, because that gliding I went through high school, that don't work in college, you know. So it taught me a lesson, and I learned my most valuable lessons when I get hit on my head, you know. So again, college was something. I had my daughter at 19. I went in at 18. I had my daughter at 19 January. I had to drop out because I'm thinking I had my daughter in December, went back to school in January, thinking I could breastfeed and still do college. And then I had to drop out because I realized I'm breastfeeding, I'm emotional. I just couldn't. So I dropped out for a little while. Then I went back, and then Katrina happened, Hurricane Katrina. Then we were moving, and then it was all over the place. And I went back again, and I finally got an associate's and a bachelor's. So yeah, school was weird, but it was fun. It was super fun.
That's crazy, because now that you said that, you know, that's the one thing about when it comes down to high school. People always tell you that high school is a joke compared to college. And I agree, because in high school it's more of like I said, you're there or you don't have to be there. Just pass the test, do the homework and whatnot, and just send it in. Don't matter what it is, don't matter what you get. And then when you get to college, you're just like, okay, I'll do the same thing I did in high school. It's whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm smart. I know what I'm doing. And then you go towards it and you're like, oh, like this is not what I thought it was. Mm-hmm. Like for me, when I was in high school, it was more of, I was just a little bit, you can be a little bit lazy in high school and you're just like, just whatever. But then when I got to college, you become more, college disciplines you. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing I will say. College really disciplines you and makes you be the adult in the situation. Because college doesn't call home to your parents to tell you that your child didn't do their homework assignment that we assigned. It's more of, you get a 0 and you can't make it up.
Yep.
And since you said, talking about, being a teen mother, I know that you said you were a teen mom at 19. Now, with that, how did that particular situation shape your journey? And what challenges did you particularly face? And how did that perspective kind of like influence your career trajectory, like your career? Like I know at one point you talked about being a waitress at a restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, having a baby at 19, first of all, I was one of the lucky ones because a lot of people in school had their children at 14, 15, 16, 13. So having a baby after high school, no matter what age it was like, oh, you did good, because a lot of the girls had babies early on. But I'll say this, everybody's going off to college. I'm thinking at the time, I'm with her father. We had been together, boyfriend and girlfriend, since 9th grade. So I'm thinking, oh, it's fine. I'll stay here. We're going to have a family. We're going to get married. Everything's going to be great. We're going to ride off into the sunset. Child, having that baby, juggling school, and that crazy relationship was horrible. Horrible. I was going through it on a personal note with her father. I was going through it. I didn't even realize it back then because they didn't talk about this, but I was going through postpartum. I didn't know that was a thing. I had gained like 200 pounds. Just, yeah, just
Wow.
going through postpartum. Because of the relationship, I got this new baby. I gotta work, and I'm still going back to school. But I gotta work. I'm working at McDonald's 5 a.m. to like 2, and then I'm jumping out of McDonald's and then catching the bus to college from like 3 to like 8 at night. And I had to move a friend in after breaking up with her father a couple times. But this one time I got an apartment, and I had to move a friend in to help watch my baby because I was trying to work and go to school. And even with working and going to school, I had to take out student loans just to pay my bills because I couldn't afford it. I could not afford to live. We went without lights for like 6 months, like no lights in the house. It was crazy. But I feel like that shaped me to be a hustler because that's when I was like, okay, McDonald's not cutting it. I started waiting tables in New Orleans. That's a huge restaurant place. So I was making decent money, enough to at least enough to pay my bills or whatever. And but it took a lot of time away. I had to work double shifts all the time. Like I had to work sun up to sundown. Then my daughter got older. She started playing AAU basketball. So now I'm trying to make time for that. And then after a while, that got burned out because I literally couldn't even enjoy a day off because I'm working so much to make sure the bills are paid, make sure that she has everything. And then I realized I was like, I got to do something else. I got to do something else. But they promoted me to manager. So I was on a salary. Sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, because sometimes certain seasons they make more money on the floor than I was making as a manager. So
Hmm.
it had its ups and its downs. But after a long time of being a manager in the restaurant hotel industry, I was just like, you know what? I'm about to try something else. And I started this YouTube thing. And originally, I would get nobody to watch me because I felt like I had to read from a script. Like I didn't want to be myself. I just had to do it this way, and I had to sound like this, and I had to say this and don't say that. And then one day I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna come on here and be myself. And if they don't like it, it is what it is. And I came on here that day and was myself, and I have been going ever since. And I do really well on YouTube when I'm monetized, but I do really well on YouTube. That puts me in a position to do things for my daughter that I wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. Because regardless, working at a restaurant, I wouldn't be able to, afford the things that I afford today. But I'll say this: I'm happy I went through it. I hated it then, but I'm grateful for it now because I live well below my means, and I make sure that I'm never going back to that place. And
Hmm.
I'm setting my daughter up to not have to go through what I went through. So yeah, that's why, it was a lot, but
That's awesome. That's the one thing about, about being a parent. You sacrifice a lot,
mm-hmm.
especially because you have a child, you know what you're supposed to do, you know that you're supposed to, it gives you, you get the understanding of being an adult quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's the understanding of, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to build the foundation. Because when you have your child, you're like, okay, I don't want them to struggle like I did. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what a lot of parents do. A lot of parents, tell their children their story and stuff, and their child is like, oh, I never knew that we
Mm-hmm.
were poor, or I never knew that we didn't have much. And it's because of the fact of your parent didn't want to, they didn't want to show you that side. They didn't want to show you the days where it was, hard for them, the days where they had to sacrifice a lot for you. They don't want to show you that those moments. They want to show you the good moments. They want to show you the moments where they're able to support you. They're able to, do for you. They're able to, make things happen. You want the new shoes, or, you want
Yeah.
this new, um, clothes for school, or new books and stuff, things that you need, the essentials that a
Mm-hmm.
parent is supposed to give you, the basics, and
Mm-hmm.
give you the nurturing and the care and the love. It really forced, like I said, it really forced you to grow up.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's great. That's great that you as a mother, you wanted your daughter to not deal with the same thing you dealt with, and
Mm-hmm.
you're building that foundation, and you're, having her understand, like, hey, this is the way to go. you know at the end of the day, you can have your own decision, you can have
Yeah.
your own judgment, but I think this is my advice, and this is what I think you should do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that you detailed the story, like you talked about being a waitress at a restaurant. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I know that you detailed the story about Juvenile's wife coming into
Oh,
the restaurant.
girl, yeah. Yeah, girl.
I I thought that was really hilarious when you detailed. I said, that's crazy.
Girl, that
Have you
lady
had
was.
like another situation like that, or was she the only one?
Oh no, I waited on a lot. I waited on Kanye West before he was like the Kanye West y'all know today. I waited on Steven Seagal, who's an old school like I guess like action actor. I
Mm-hmm.
waited on me. I waited on because you got to think about it. It's New Orleans. Everybody, all the stars come through New Orleans, all
Mm.
of them. And I'll say when I waited on Kanye, I remember I had worked them on. It was around the 4th of July time, Essence Festival, and I was getting ready to get off. Now remember, New Orleans is city, but it's still racist. And so the girl who was the hostess at the time, she's working, and I'm getting ready to get off. I'm like, all right, I done did everything I need to do. I'm leaving. And the white girl had just got off, but the black girl was coming on, and she was like, "Come here." She was like, "You need to take this table in the back, but we're gonna close the curtains." And I'm like, "Girl, I'm not taking no table. I'm about to go home, girl. I'm tired. I've been working. I've been in here since 6 in the morning. I'm tired." She was like, "No, no, no. You're taking this table." And I'm like, "Girl, what you talking about? I ain't taking this table." Long story short, she was like, "You are going to thank me later. Take this table." So I go back there. I'm like, "All right." She was like, "This is the last table." It's Kanye West and a whole entourage of people, and they just spilling all the tea on Birdman, on Swiss Beats, on Diddy. I'm talking about they talking about everybody. A lot of the things that came out about Diddy, he was already talking about it back then. And he was super gracious. He was like, "What do you think we should try for appetizers?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is it." He was like, "All right, give us 3 of those." And then, "What do you think of this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that." And at the end, that was my first time holding a black card too, because he paid with a black card. And I remember